Well, hi, everybody. This is Dear Mama Sal, and I just about dropped the computer here. Welcome. Some days are just like that, am I right? All right, so welcome to everybody. It's Friday evening, which means it's time for us to talk about coping with life. And I'm pretty certain that my viewers, my regular viewers, will have some input about their life this week. I just wanted to say that for me, it has been overall a challenging week because I was sick. And I'm glad to say that I think I'm over the worst of it and on the mend, and happy to be strong enough. For a couple of days there, I just didn't feel capable of doing very much at all. But anyway, it looks like it was just a bad cold or flu or something, and I am doing well. And here I am again. Hi, Jody, good to see you. For those of you who might be new, Dear Mama Sal is a group of people who get together 3 times a week and to support each other through coping with our lives. And we do 3 broadcasts a week, one on a Friday lunchtime where our focus is coping with our feelings, because every week our feelings will change just because every week the things that happen to us change. And then this one on a Friday evening where we talk about coping with life. And then we do another one on a Sunday afternoon, 3:30 Pacific time, where we talk about coping with stress. And we all have stress. And part of the reason we do these broadcasts is so that other people, when they listen to them, can hear that, the things they're going through are quite normal. And it's not that they're losers or stupid or whatever. It's just like everybody goes through these things. The difference is, how do we cope with them? And that is what the lesson is all about, that we try to talk about. And by the way, we all have good days and bad days and good weeks and bad weeks. And that is just life. And I think that a lot of people judge themselves very harshly and think that, they compare themselves with other people and think that they ought to be much better than they are. And I always say that, I don't know if any of you agree with me on this one, but we're all doing life at our own speed. And your speed, with all due respect, is the right speed for you. You will learn what you need to learn at the time that you need to learn it. And you will have heard it 20 times before, and you sort of went, oh yeah, and then one day you wake up and you go, you know something, today that makes sense. And I am certain we all have examples of that where, I know some of you may even have found them here at Dear Mama Sal. And, one of the things that I always say to people is, be aware that you are all here for a good reason, and we are all here together for a good reason. And that is to help one another. That is what I believe, and that is what we do. Now, I'm not saying we all need help necessarily, but it's like somehow if we talk about what we're going through, it will help those people who may never, ever talk in the chat, those people who we may never even hear of, will hear that they're not the only ones dealing with that. And one of the other things that I'm very aware of is, now that we live in a global society, that a lot of countries don't have the sort of mental health support that we might have in North America. I'm in Canada, and most of my viewers are in America, but I'm sitting in Canada where we have a very good health system, and we also have an extremely good mental health system. And so part of what I do know, because I have been that person who was depressed, I have been that person who ended up in ICU for anxiety without realizing it. Twice they thought I'd had a heart attack when apparently it was an anxiety attack. And I wasn't even aware that there was anything on my mind. But it was bad enough that they had me in ICU twice. And so you look at it and you go, sometimes we just don't know what our body's trying to tell us. And it is important that we listen, and it's important that we take our steps forward. So having said that, welcome. Coping, as far as I am concerned, is the most important thing we can do during the pandemic, is learning how to cope with ourselves. Some of you have probably already learned new coping mechanisms just because of the pandemic. Would that be true? I just wonder whether anybody can, and if you're listening on the replay, feel free to leave a comment below and let us know whether you have in fact learned anything from having been locked down for this long. I certainly have learned that I made the right decision in terms of getting the the home that I did, even though unfortunately I'm not in it at the moment. I'm in a rented apartment because my house burned. But I did learn that I don't like being in a rented apartment. Letters to daughters, Leo. Yeah, are you writing them? Is that... Am I missing something here? Thanks for being here, by the way, and hi, Jody. Yeah, it's like I find that we all will be learning new things. I certainly learned that I needed to do something because it was winter and I was locked down, and that's why I got the Wii. And by the way, between the two broadcasts today, I am very, very proud of myself. I did 45 minutes on the Wii, and I didn't sort of do walking or doing stuff like that. What did I do? I played table tennis, and I did some bowling, and I did some cycling, which is all very good. And I wonder what it did to my heart rate. I always love sort of showing you guys that playing those games actually does push your heart rate up, even though you might not think it does. Hold on 1 second. Let me just show you what I did for today, if it recorded it, which I'm sure it did. Yeah, this was playing games today. 6 minutes in cardio, 24 minutes in fat burn, and there is the proof. And that was just amazing. Hi, Ace. You're saying sad quotes. Is it that you want some, or that you are sad and you'd like some quotes to help you? Let me know which is which. That would be awesome. Now, before we get into today's sort of chit chat, what I wanted to do was give you some information. And one of the things that I thought I would tell you is I found a very interesting topic where it said the things that we should not keep in the refrigerator, and some of them surprised me. So I thought I would discuss it. Did you know that you should not keep apples in the refrigerator? They can last a week or two at room temperature. But if you keep them in the fridge, they go softer, that mealy sort of taste to them. And so they are saying, keep them out of the fridge. Funny enough, I've lived a long time and I didn't know that. Another one that surprised me, if I can find it, and I will. It was cucumbers. Did you know that? Cucumbers don't do well in the fridge. Hi, Black Magic. Black Magic, you want some poems about mothers? Hi, Iz. Good to see you. Anyway, welcome to you, and thank you for being here. I appreciate that. We'll take some notes. And hi, Sharon. I've got some fun quotes from Betty White today, Sharon, so I know you will chuckle. So cucumbers, did you know that you shouldn't keep cucumbers in the fridge? I didn't know that. Because they get waterlogged too quickly if you do. And this is like, how come I lived this long and didn't know that one? And the next one that I was surprised at, ketchup. Don't keep your ketchup in the fridge. Mind you, it's probably got so many preservatives in it, you don't need to, right? It says the stuff is chock full of preservatives. As long as you don't contaminate it, ketchup can last for a really long time. Now, I didn't know that. Did you? All right, what else is here on this list that I went, really? Let me just find the next one for you, because it was just like, I didn't know that. And if I didn't know it, then the chances are some of my viewers. Soy sauce does not need to go in the fridge. It says it can live in your pantry for up to 1.5 years. Why? Because it's already fermented. Isn't that? I didn't know that. I've got mine in the fridge. Okay, and let's see what I can find. Well, you see, Sharon, that's what I like to do these broadcasts so we can all learn. Sharon's saying ketchup. I didn't have a clue. And soy sauce. Yep. Eggs. Listen to this one. In some countries, eggs aren't even kept in the refrigerator, in grocery stores or in people's homes. In the UK, they're inclined not to have them in the fridge. And a study uncovered that they found actually no difference in how long they last, whether you keep them in or out of the fridge. Again, it was an eye-opener for me, and I thought, if it's new to me, it might be new to some of my viewers. Let me see what else I can find here. But I mean, to me, it's like these little things I'm going, really? Bananas? I think we know about bananas, right? I actually do keep mine in the fridge, I must admit. They say that they keep their nutrients better if they're out of the fridge. So I keep a couple out, but most of them I keep in the fridge because I actually buy, I don't know about the rest of you. I actually, when I order my bananas, I order them to be green. And then I let them very slowly, go yellow. So I pull them out a couple at a time, but I actually buy them green so that they last longer. If anybody else has got any tricks on that one, let me know. And let's see what else I can find here for you. Hot sauce. Anybody got hot sauce in the fridge? The reason that doesn't need to be in the fridge either is because, as you can imagine, it's full of very natural preservatives like vinegar. And so don't use up fridge space. However, it does say, keep it away from direct sunlight, keep it cool. But you don't actually have to have it in the fridge. So, okay, we can have it. And I found, let's think other things, let's get creative, other things that are preserved already. I would say things like pickles, preserved pickles, and if you've got preserved eggs and, in vinegar, those sort of things, they are already preserved, so they are less likely to go nasty on you. So think about that. If you've got a smaller fridge or trying to make better use of your fridge. I've started doing something. Sorry, I just saw another one and it said chocolate doesn't belong in the fridge. And of course it doesn't. Chocolate belongs in my stomach. It's got absolutely no place whatsoever in the fridge. Mine doesn't get as far as the fridge. I mean, really, who puts their chocolate in the fridge? Chocolate? Hey. Interesting. Hi, Rinsky. Good to see you, honey. Yes, some people don't put their butter in the fridge. All right. How about mustard? Do you keep mustard in the fridge? If so, why? Its number one ingredient is vinegar. All right. So again, if you think about it, anything that's got vinegar as its number one ingredient. Yes, Sharon's saying, I keep butter out, so to always have some at room temperature. A couple of tricks on that one. I actually don't keep mine out, but I have a couple of tricks on butter. Number one tip is I keep one thing of butter, slab, chunk, whatever. Brick would be the right, now what's the right word for a brick of butter? I'm going to call it that. I keep one where I keep it in a plastic bag, but whenever I want to grease anything, I just pull it out and I just use it like this, in a pan. And then it goes back in the bag as it is and goes away again. If I want to do butter on anything, I take a potato peeler and just peel off some slithers of butter. Jody's saying, I almost bought a Danish butter bell to keep butter soft on the counter. Did you know the trick about the glass, Jody? I don't know if anybody's done that. If you take a glass, Jody, and warm it up, and then put it over the butter, it will soften it enough that you can use it out of the fridge. But I actually like to, shave it, and I find that works beautifully. Just in seconds, it's ready to use. So I just take a potato peeler because I find it really, really a good way of doing it. I also use a potato peeler, if I want to put vegetables in, like I made some shepherd's pie and I wanted to put some vegetables in. I actually will do slithers of carrot and then just chop the slithers of carrot up. Yeah, I want to tell you that baggie works really well. I like to make crepes. I think you guys know that. And so in my life, I try to make my life easy. And I just literally, I grab that bag, and I grab the brick of butter and I just go zoom, 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 put my batter mixture in for my crepes. And then when that crepe's gone, I bring the butter, just dum, dum, dum again. Most of the butter doesn't even start to warm up. It's just the very end of it that does, because it's hitting a hot pan. So there you go. Mustard, don't bother to put it in the fridge. It's not where it's meant to be. It's got, think about the main ingredient. Now, what about onions? I never put onions in a fridge. What about you guys? It actually turns them moldy. However, if I chop them, if I chop them, then I do. I put them in a sealed bag in the fridge or in the freezer. That's interesting. That's Brinsky saying, I remember you live when I was making crepes with my little crepe thing, right? It makes me sad you lost your place. I haven't lost it. It's still there. It's just getting repaired. Right, and Jody also saying she never puts onions in the fridge. Okay, so we do agree on that one. That's good. That's one that I think most people are aware of. It actually, I hear it turns things off. Jam. Do you keep jam in the fridge? Because remember, unless it's homemade jam, if it's bottled jam from the store, it's packed with preservatives, both natural and artificial. And putting it in the fridge won't make it last any longer. So don't waste the space. And let me go for one more. Are you finding this interesting, by the way? I don't know why. I just thought, what a feeling my viewers would like that. Yeah, I never put honey in the fridge. Why would I do that? It would just make it go hard, right? And by the way, if your honey does crystallize, you do know just to put it in warm water and it will go back to being honey. I found even when I'm at my house, not at this one, I just used to put it in the sun and the sun would heat it up enough and it would do that. Sharon, I'd never thought about that about jam as well, which is why we do the broadcast, right? We're here to learn things from one another. So I will do some more of these type of things then if you're interested in that, because that is great. Always like to hear that. Yeah, well, I didn't, something, I saw it, Jody, and I thought, I didn't know that. And therefore, the chances are some of my viewers don't know it either, in which case, why don't I help them? And I will do a few more of those next week. Now, I wanted to let you know, because I think it's important to us all, that Jody let me know today that she has received notification that she is now on the, on the list to get the next wave of vaccinations. And that was really exciting to me. But then she wrote to me and said, although she's eligible, she might be waiting for quite a while because the vaccine supplies are limited. And she gave us a few factoids because, it's Jody. She does like to get her research done. And she said, please note that approximately 300,000 New Hampshire, that's where she lives, residents meet the criteria for that first round. However, fewer than 20,000 doses have been delivered to the state each week. So you do the math on that. All right? Do the math on that. If they're only getting, at the moment, they're only getting 20,000 a week, and they've got 300,000 people waiting to get vaccinated in that group, that's going to take a while. So those of you who are regular people, you're going to have to wait quite a while unless they do some serious upgrading of the vaccine. So Jody, thank you for that input. And has anybody that we know had the vaccine yet? I know, a 99-year-old who has, but that's the only person I know that has had it. Now, I heard something today that confused me, and I thought I need to ask my viewers, because you guys are quite smart. Well, I think you are. When you listen to me, you must be quite smart. Or very stupid. Anyway, so here's the thing. I heard today something about that the vaccine changes your DNA. Has anybody heard this? And I immediately, being who I am, went to the internet and then, checked that out to see, does anybody agree with that or refute it? And the first thing I saw was that Reuters news agency, that I consider to be pretty ethical, debunked it and says, that it was a rotten rumor. And then the next thing was I heard from Big Brother Jeff that apparently Bill Gates is talking about the fact that it changes your DNA. Has anybody heard this? I haven't seen that, so I can't tell you whether that's, I haven't seen it with my own eyes. I did ask him to send me a link, but I wondered if anybody else had heard that. Oh, Sharon's saying her daughter's been vaccinated, but she is in the medical field. Yes. And please thank her for doing the wonderful work that she does. So here's the thing. My question, where my mind goes, because my mind immediately went, if it is true, I don't know that it is. If it is true, think about this. If the vaccine actually does in some way change your DNA, they will not be able to have DNA in courts anymore, because a person could commit murder, take the vaccine, and their DNA would not be the same. Therefore, it might be inadmissible as proof that it's them. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's where my mind went, because, I don't know why my mind immediately went to murderers. I think because so often, that what gets them, what makes them guilty is the DNA is there to prove it, or rapists or whatever, the DNA proves it. And so I said to Big Brother Jeff, if that is true, what are they going to do in courts? And he went, I never even thought about that. And I went, good. Because I did. So I'd love it if you guys, during the week, do some research, see what you can find. Let's see, and let me know. get back to me at DearMamaSal@gmail.com, or get back to me on Facebook or Messenger or however you contact me. And I will try. I don't know about you, but I find that quite interesting, and I'll try and keep you updated. And we heard that this week Betty White reached the ripe old age of 80, sorry, not even 80, 99. Can you believe that? Am I right on that? I believe Jody, she turned 99. And, you know, to be that age and still working and loving what she does, I think is pretty amazing. So obviously Betty White knows something that we don't. And I thought, we need to regularly, listen to her wisdom on things. And my feeling about Betty White is, actually, if you had to describe her in one word, let's see how people do. How would you describe her in one word? Or if you need a couple more than one, it's like when you think of Betty White, do you automatically smile? And how many of you automatically see her as one of the Golden Girls? Oh, Rinsky saying that she automatically sees her as positive. Yes, she has a great attitude on life, doesn't she? So I thought we'd do a couple of quotes, and just probably today and on Sunday. And so here's the first one, and Rinsky, it goes to that point. She says, "It's your outlook," she said, "on life that counts. If you take yourself lightly and don't take yourself so seriously, pretty soon you can find the humor in your everyday lives, and sometimes it can be a lifesaver." How many of you remember when I was trying to fight the fire in my house and I picked up the fire extinguisher, with my my house and my life on the line? I picked up the fire extinguisher and going, what the am I meant to do? And hang on, I've got to remember, pull out the pin. Where is the pin? And I want to tell you, I wish I'd had it on video for you, because you guys would have cried laughing. And eventually, I was sort of like somebody in a movie, like this, and I'm going, and now does it explode? Oh no, now I have to press a handle so that, it does the right things. And I pressed the handle, and for those of you who haven't heard this before, managed to cover myself in fire retardant. I had the hose pointing the wrong way, which quite honestly, was a very good thing, because I now was wearing fire retardant clothes before I fought my fire, which really was quite smart. Or when I actually found the source of the fire, it turned out to be, what I saw was my toilet seat on fire. And I started in my mind to sing Johnny Cash's Ring of Fire. And I started to laugh, and I'm going, yep. Johnny Cash will be proud of that. That's a ring of fire, okay? And the next thing, molten something dropped from the ceiling, and I looked up, and then I realized it was the ceiling fan that had caught fire. And then that's where I put the first thing I did was to think, okay, fine, can I put water on the toilet seat? That's what I was doing. And I was going, water and plastic, that's okay. Or it already blown the electrical, so, that's okay. And then I looked up and I saw this molten plastic, that was literally dripping from the ceiling. And I thought, no, you're not coming down here. And I took that fire extinguisher and I beat the heck out of that fire. I wanted to tell you, enough that it saved my house. But here is the thing. By the time the fire engine went, that fire had caught again. And it still did over $100,000 worth of damage. So, but the funny thing for me was how many times, with all that stress going on, I ended up laughing. And that to me was interesting. And I realized, as some of you know, and some of you probably relate to, that laughter is a great lifesaver if you need it. And not to take everything quite seriously. If you think of all the things that have terrified you in your life, how many things have you actually survived? And that is, I think, a very important thing to remember. As I said to you a couple of weeks ago about the horror, of those riots, we had equal horror with other things, the death of Princess Diana, 9/11, right? But we learned to cope again. And so I encourage you all to remember that these are, we're going to go through, I think, a lot worse before we get a lot better. And I'm hoping you'll all be here to hold my hand, because I sure as heck intend to stay here to hold yours. All right, so Jeannie's saying, I remember when you told us, yes, I was worried that you would get hurt. Yeah, the fire department guy did say to me, you should not have done that. And I said, I only bought the house this year. Can you understand my motivation? He went, absolutely. And by the way, you did a really good job. But I need to say to you, as a fire person, you should not have done that. And I said, would you? And he went, I'm not answering that. Okay, so Jeannie's saying that she's noticed that gas prices have already gone up. So be prepared. Don't get scared. Be prepared, all right? Everything's going to go up in price. Your taxes are probably going to have to go up. And it won't be because of who's in the White House. It'll be because, we're going to have to start paying for these bills, all right? We are going to have to print money so people can survive, all right, put food on the table. And every time we print money, you understand the value of the money you have in your savings is going to go down. It's a real fact. And you're going to have less value of your savings and things are going to cost more. Is it fair? No. Of course it's not fair. You couldn't possibly have thought this was happening or going to happen. None of us could. It was like 9/11. It was, outside the realm of our possibilities, wasn't it? I can't imagine too many people were sitting around and going, 2020, that'll be the year of the pandemic. I don't know. I better hoard up money and stuff. But if you remember, something instinctively, when I moved, something told me to get cash out of the bank. Do you guys remember that? I pulled a fair amount of money out of the bank and stuck it under my mattress. It wasn't there at all. So don't come to my house and look under my mattress, because it's not where I keep money. So there. But I did hide it. And because it was, because I've always thought that it was a good idea to have cash on hand. And by the way, wasn't it funny that when I had the fire, my first thought was not to get my passport and my wallet or the money. My first thought was get the computers out. Hang on. It was the computers, the chargers, and the laptop. The computers, the chargers, and the cell phone. Oh, and tripods and things. Anything to do with DearMamaSal. They were the first things to leave the house. Can you believe that? And only afterwards did I have the fire people go in and get my wallet and stuff like that. And on the next trip, I got them to get that cash of money that was stuck away. Vrinsky's saying, I'm surprised you remembered to grab anything at all. You'd be quite surprised. I was incredibly calm. I surprised myself. But then I've been in fire before. Sharon's going, yeah, I believe it. You can probably imagine me covering myself in fire retardant. And you can probably imagine what I said. It was not polite. And then I thought, but brilliantly clever, Sal, well done. So Betty White said, and I wonder, if we all agree with this, I think your mental attitude, it's your mental attitude. So many of us start dreading age in high school. And it's such a waste of a lovely life, isn't it? So, oh, I'm 30. Or, oh, I'm 40 now. Or how about, I'm 50. I can remember 60. And now I can also remember 70. And you know something? I know an awful lot of people who would like to have my life at 70. What do you think? I would like to say that for 70, My body doesn't like it as much, but my mind is still quite happy, thank you. Well, except for this morning when I got up. I always put my milk I've got a little smoothie maker, and I put my milk into the smoothie maker and I whiz it up so that it's nice and, because, I don't have my latte machine here. And so, I put my milk in and I froth it all up and then I put it in the microwave. Well, guess what? I didn't put the top on the smoothie maker. The next thing I knew is I had milk all over the kitchen, and I'm going, oh, that's really good. Note to self, wake up before you turn on electrical gadgets, Sal. Jeannie's saying, when you add a huge amount of money and print more, taxes will go up, yeah. That doesn't seem to be due to this new administration. Quite right, yeah. We don't, Jeannie's saying President Biden doesn't care how much he spends. I don't personally think that is true, but you're entitled to that opinion. I think he is very, very insistent that people should have food on the table, and that's what he's working towards, but that's my belief. The best of the inauguration, yes, we were talking about that at lunchtime. I think everybody agrees that 22-year-old Amanda just blew the world away. And, I was talking about her clothes, Jeannie. I don't know if you're aware of that. But there was a reason why she wore the yellow coat, and it was a Prada coat. Didn't it look like it might be? And the headband was also from Prada. And then that her jewelry was from Oprah. Oprah sent her the jewelry. So you go, because Oprah's a big fan. And I know I was talking to Jody when she was talking. And it was so funny because I said, this is the next Maya Angelou. And the interesting thing is, I heard somebody, they were saying that somewhere else, and I went, I already said that. The moment she stood up, that's what I said. It's like anybody who can talk like that at 22, she's got a big, big future. And to be able to write like that and to be able to perform like that. So yes, I think it's magical. So how many of you, agree with the fact that we waste our times dreading these these different things about our age? The truth is, we are just going to have those ages. We might as well enjoy them. I had no idea that 60 would be so much fun, by the way. At 60, somebody gave me that incredible plaque that I've got somewhere in storage now, but it says, if you haven't grown up by 60, you don't have to. And I went, that has got to be the coolest present. And I always keep it, somewhere very prominent in my house so that other people will see it. Because, I go, yeah, that would be me. And Betty White said, a lot of people think this is goody two-shoes talking, but we do have a tendency to complain rather than celebrate who we are. I've learned at my mother's knee, it's better to appreciate what's happening. I think we kind of talk ourselves into the negative sometimes. I agree with you, Sharon. We need to be thankful every morning we wake up, quite honestly. Sharon's saying it's a blessing for each year we're alive. I would say it's a blessing for each day that we're alive with what is going on in the world. And so let's keep it that way. I would, to me, I really think that we are going to need a lot of positive input for this year. I was saying as we go into chapter 1, being January, and page 22, because it's the 22nd, what changes do we want to make? And one of them is, let's see if we can up the tempo on Let the Sun Shine In was one of the songs that Bon Jovi sang. And, that's from my youth. And I remember that song so well out of Aquarius, the show Aquarius. And it was a long time ago, but, I still to this day love that song, Let the Sun Shine In, because I think we all need to do that. Betty White also said that she was a cockeyed optimist. I tried to accentuate the positive as opposed to the negative. Let's do it for one another. And so just before I go on, does anybody have anything in particular that they want to say today? Do you have anything that happened in your life that you'd like to talk about? We obviously are saying, big congratulations to Autumn, who gave birth to Elias and Enoch. Is it Enoch? I think so, right? The two babies. And, I'm certain that her life is pretty chaotic right now. And yet she found the time to write to me and send me the photographs and even say it, take the time to tell me it's okay to share them. And, to me, it was just like with Elias and Enoch. Yes. So I just thought, thanks, Shirley. I just thought, how kind of her when her life must be really in shambles at the moment to make the time to do that. And I don't know, I was very touched about that. For some reason that I haven't quite worked out, Autumn has taken a place in my heart. Does anybody else feel like that? It's weird, isn't it? As some people, you don't necessarily, because she hasn't been a viewer for very long that I know of, but she certainly has had an impact on me in the time that she has been here. So if one has no sense of humor, Betty White said, one is in trouble. And I would say that is, wherever possible. And the other thing was, I was saying at lunchtime, also, let's have compassion. I was trying to imagine the freedom of, first of all, the sadness that must have, that the ex-president must have felt leaving the White House. You cannot, I don't think in my right mind I can imagine how weird that must feel after 4 years of being, the most powerful person in the world. And the same as, it happened to Jimmy Carter, where he only did 4 years. One of the Bushes only did 4, right? So it's about, to only do 4 it must feel so strange to leave. Even if you've done 8, you're probably really glad to leave after 8. But, it's like, can you imagine waking up the next morning and going, my big decision is, what do I want to do with my day? I think I'll go and play golf. So I really had great compassion. I felt, I thought it was really important to take a moment and just feel. And Melania, to be able, will she go back, and get right out of the spotlight and take Barron out of the spotlight as well, and just go back to living the life that she wanted. And, I'm very happy for her, because I don't think she ever wanted to be in the White House, quite honestly. So, and then I looked at, there was part of me, did anybody else have this feeling? It was just mine. For a split second, I wondered whether Biden would pick up Dr. Jill and carry her across the threshold into the White House. Did anybody else have that feeling? For some reason, I felt the whole of that thing was so personable. And because of, you couldn't have the normal things. And what they put together, I thought, felt so personal. And I just, I thought, wonder if he's going to pick her up and carry her across the threshold, because I thought, I wouldn't have been surprised. Let's put it that way. Kimmy, let's just remember we have got Trump followers, and therefore what we consider a nightmare is not everybody's view. And so let's just remember, I think a lot of people did feel a shift, and I understand that. Yes, and Jeannie's saying Melania has been a wonderful first lady, frequently maligned, but as is every first lady, Jeannie, I think you know that. I don't know a single first lady that wasn't maligned. I've lived through a lot of first ladies, and I've seen them have good press and I've seen them have bad. So it wasn't just her. It is part of what happens, unfortunately. And the same will happen. It's just part of what happens, sadly. And as long as we have people with different views, and as long as we live in a democracy that allows you to verbalize those views, it's going to happen. Betty White says that anger tears me up inside. tears me up inside, my own or somebody else's. How many of you agree that when you get angry, you get really upset inside? And if you see somebody that's really angry, and so let us now, as if we can, work at trying to let go of some of that anger. I heard something today that really horrified me. One of the instigators of the riot, one guy, said to his family, "If any of you turn me in, you will become a traitor. And if you know what happens to traitors, they get shot." Can you imagine saying that to your family? Can you imagine saying that to your family? If any of you turn me in, you're going to get shot. I think that is really sad. So, you know what that person decided to do. Yeah, I know, Rinsky. I know, but that's unfortunately the mentality I don't understand. I want to tell you something. Hi, Pat. Good to see you. I can remember a friend, my best friend at the time, did something that I thought was very unethical. And I said to her, I need to tell you, I need to tell you, you need to correct that behavior in the next month, or else I'm going to be turning you in. And she looked at me and said, "You're meant to be a friend." I said, "Yeah, I am. So do yourself a big favor, correct that behavior in the next month, or I'm turning you in. Make a choice." And I'm saying that as a friend, because I don't want to see you, get punished for this. So, wake up, grow up. Yeah, and Jeannie's saying that person who said that to her family, it's like she's saying, this is a crazy person, not a decent man. I quite agree with you, Jeannie. That's just my judgment, though. And do I have the right to judge him? Well, I have the right to say, I think that's horrific. I really do. Rinsky's saying that's pretty scary. If someone says that to our family, what would they do to somebody they don't care about? Well, we saw that. They crushed them in a doorway. How many of you were really glad to see that one cop that led them the wrong way be given a place at the inauguration and get to do all, walk down the stairs like he was, king of the world? I don't know about you, that touched my soul. I thought that was great. And that he got an immediate promotion for his bravery. I like that. I like things like that. Yeah. Kimmy's saying 2 things not to talk about: religion and politics. Well, I think that's part of our problem. Quite honestly, I think I was taught that as well. But what I found is that I found having Jeannie talk to us about her politics helps us all understand better, and that that not everybody. Although my brother is a huge Trump supporter. So it's like, if we don't talk both sides, how will we stay informed? And it's not that we can agree to disagree. It doesn't make us enemies. I've always given Jeannie incredible brownie points for knowing that I am not a Trump supporter, but still taking the time to talk to us and share things with us. So I think it is really important. Yes, and Pat and I are on the same page. Pat says all things should be talked about. Sex, politics, religion, it should all be talked about if we want, people to be educated. Jeannie is saying, but look how badly they've treated the National Guard. They were asked to help and then relegated to cold parking garage. All right, so all right. I don't have an answer for that. I have a feeling that they are in that parking garage, not long term, but I don't know enough about it, but I agree with you. But on the other hand, they're soldiers. What are soldiers taught? They are taught to sleep under any conditions. They are taught to stay at the ready, whether they, I mean, if you think about it, Jeannie, that probably the group that is on that shift is in that garage, but they're not on that shift 24/7. And so I think that, to think that they're, and we see them lying on the ground, it's not that they're necessarily sleeping there 24/7. They just have nothing to do. So that what they're doing is lying on the ground. So I think the picture, can be a little confusing there, but I could be wrong. So Rinsky's saying, it was great that he led them the wrong way, yes. But what about all the other people that did similar, but no one was there to see? Good point. And I'm sure a lot of people did amazing things. Yes, I agree. And some people did horrific things. I think it was like on both sides. And that is part of what happens in chaos. Some people will do incredibly brave things and other people will not. So I'm all right. So Jeannie's now saying that she's querying the fact there were only 2 toilets for over 500 men. I didn't know that either. That's new to me. But they are in the Capitol building, right? So I'm pretty sure that they've got more toilets there. But I could be wrong. But, I always think it's easier for men than it is for women. Betty White said, retirement is not in my vocabulary. They aren't going to get rid of me that way. Yes, I know it's a cold parking garage, but what I'm saying, Jeannie, do you know how long their shifts are? Do you know whether it's a 4-hour shift or an 8-hour shift? Because I don't think they're there 24/7, honey. I think they've got rotating people going in. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not like they're in the trenches and they're, as they were in World War I, in the trenches with water up to their knees, and there's no going home from there. It is not a full-time commitment. I think it's rotated out, but I could be wrong. I'm certain somebody will find out and let us know. But I agree with you, be careful. But, again, I do have to say this, Jeannie, that the National Guard is trained to work under any sort of circumstances, right? I know people who've been in it. And so it's part of what they're good at, survival. All right, so Jeannie is saying, I don't think you're correct. In which part, Jeannie? Everything, or the fact that I don't think they're there 24/7? And that is why states like New Hampshire have asked for them to return home. And Jody, who lives in New Hampshire, is saying Lionel was in the Guard and it is rotating. So 2 different views on that one. And wherefore, Jody, perhaps you can do some research and let us know, why did New Hampshire call them home then? Jeannie's saying I'm wrong on the fact that I think they're there for a short stint. I don't mean overall. I mean, the time, this maybe, Block A goes in for 4 hours and then they are replaced by Block B, and then they get replaced by Block C, and that's what my feeling is. And that's how I believe it's normally done. But I don't know for sure. We're not talking wartime, we're talking protection routine, which is different. How about this one? Betty White says you don't luck into integrity, you work at it. How many of you feel that you are pretty good on your integrity? What you think is what you say is what you do. And from my mind, I think integrity is one of the most important qualities somebody can have. All right. Jody is saying, I'm not sure where she's quoting this from, but Jeannie, just so you know, President Biden phoned the National Guard chief on Friday to express his dismay, and he is having the situation corrected. Isn't that wonderful? Good. So that's like all things. When you see something wrong, say something and get something done. Thanks for letting us know, Jeannie. How about this one? Betty White said, I just make it my business to get along with people so I can have fun. It's that simple. And Jeannie's mentioning that his, Biden's son, Beau, that his son was in the Guards as well. So he would, he would be very mindful of that. And Jody is quoting the New York Times. Thank Jody. By the way, when I quoted Reuters news agency back to Big Brother Jeff, he said he doesn't believe any of the Western press. I was shocked. Said, I don't listen to any of the Western press anymore. How about that? So when you think of Betty White, I think you have to smile, right? Or is it just me? She said, get at least 8 hours sleep a night. 9 if you're ugly. She's 99, Jeannie. I believe she turned 99 this week, which is why I'm doing quotes from her. Now, this one was one of my all-time favorites. So, Sharon, you're going to like this one. Are you ready, Sharon? Hang on, I got to get straight before I do it. Okay, and she said, my answer to anything under the sun, like, what have you not done in the business that you would always wanted to do? And her answer, she says, is Robert Redford. Do I get a score on that one, Sharon? You're gonna love her, haven't you? And I'm going, yeah, I can relate. Yeah, I think she liked that. Okay, good. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Okay. Yep, she turned 99 on the 17th. Now, I like this one as well, and it's so true, isn't it? Of Facebook, she said, Facebook sounds like a drag. In my day, seeing pictures of other people's vacations was considered a punishment. And Jody, I love how my viewers do so much work while we're on the program. Jody's saying about the Guard, they were reportedly moved from the Capitol at the request of the Capitol Police due to increased foot traffic as Congress returned to session. Yes, and I think Jeannie's point was that a group of them were kept down in the garages in case of a problem. I think they're concerned, I could be wrong on this one as well, but from what I understood, they're concerned that when they do vote on the impeachment, there could be trouble again, in which case they want to keep guards on hand. And I can understand that. And I think a small group are kept there, and then they've got reserves standing by if they're needed. So it's good. I feel safer knowing that. I don't know about the rest of you. Betty White said this. She said, there is no formula. Keep busy with your work and your life. Replay the good times. Be grateful for the years you have had. All right? And I think that is so important for us to, just think about that. I can't repeat that one. I'll get knocked out of YouTube. It was a good one. And I like this. Betty White said of herself, I may be a senior, but so what? I'm still hot. What a wonderful thing to be able to say of yourself, all right? That here she is at 99, and she still sees herself as hot. And I'm going, isn't that the cutest thing? And she is, right? But I think the thing that I want to remind us all about is that the reason that she is so adorable, in my view, is that she is just infectious. Her giggle, her joy in obviously life, the way she doesn't take herself seriously, I think is infectious. And I think we all have things to learn from that. How about this one? Now, just hold your breath if you have a reaction to this one. But Betty White said, I don't care who anybody sleeps with. If a couple has been together all that time and there are gay relationships that are more solid and some heterosexual ones, I think it's fine if they want to get married. And I know for those of you who have faith that doesn't condone that, but I must admit I agree. And so I think it's important that we understand that we are going to go through a really tough year, all of us. Doesn't matter where in the world we live. We're all going to go through a very tough time. We're going to go through, everybody in the world is going to go through financial hardship in some way. And the best thing that we can do is to just do the best we can to help one another through. Now, isn't that interesting? Betty White said, a lady likes to be complimented on her looks, her eyes, her figure, but the personality comments are much appreciated. Do you agree with that? That we say, so we very rarely say of people, I really love your personality. And I think I'm probably not alone when I go, it is her personality that is so engaging. How about this one? She said, animals don't lie. Animals don't criticize. If an animal has a moody day, they handle them way better than humans do. Yes, and Jean is saying, our beauty fades, but our personality remains. Isn't that wonderful? Hi, Cindy. Cindy's saying, good evening, dear Mama Sal. I'm Cindy here from Hong Kong. My grandmother just went into an operating room for her surgery. Please pray for her. Thank you very much. Cindy, we will put up thoughts and prayers for you. If Jody, can you please remind me after the broadcast? I hope it's not a very serious operation, Cindy. And how can we best support you, honey? And thank you for coming here for some mental support. Smart lady. How can we best support you? With our thoughts and prayers. And by the way, if you didn't notice it, people, I did put up, and I really don't do this very often, but I did put up a note to remind everybody, if you've got any spare change in your life, that Louisiana Laurie called Lolo, Baba is going on for really strong chemo now, and things are not looking good, and they are in quite desperate straits. So if anybody can, spare a little something, that would be wonderful. I don't often do those sort of calls to action, but I did put it up on Facebook, so you know where to find it if you're going, yes, I'd like to contribute. Okay, so Cindy's saying, thank you, everybody. It's not a very serious operation. It's to remove one of her toes from her right leg. I think removing a toe is quite a serious operation. I've never heard of that. Oh, and Cindy's saying, I know I feel better by coming here, so I'm here. Well, we love you for that, really. A good question. Jenny's saying, is that because of diabetes? Well, Cindy, I can imagine any operation is scary, isn't it? To have a loved one go in for an operation is always scary because you're never quite sure. Oh, you normally watch or listen after the live. You see, Cindy, thank you. What I always say to people, we never know who is listening. We know who comes and talks, but we have no idea who's listening. And by the way, some of you know, because you will have seen it, but DearMamaSal hit 1.5 million views last week. And that's because of the people that we don't see in the room, and it's amazing. And it's so touching to me that people do listen and they do that. Now, I'm thinking about changing the format again this year. And I want to make sure that you guys, because you're the regulars, you guys are going to be prepared for that. Jody, I'll wait until you come back and then I'll talk about it because you need to know. Yeah, like Jody's rather important. She's our admin. All right, so I like this one. This is Betty White again, and she's saying, oh, I don't need sleep. I just went to my hotel room, had a cold hot dog and a vodka on the rocks. Just like and you're going, what a lovely mentality, right? She says, people have told me, Betty, Facebook is a great way to keep in touch with old friends. At my age, if I wanted to keep in touch with old friends, I'd need a Ouija board. You gotta love her, really. So, yeah, Cindy is saying, Jeannie, it's not because of diabetes, but because of her chronic problems. Oh, she's not able to move a lot of her body, so some parts of her body, yes, go bad. Yeah, we understand. The atrophy is the name, I guess. And then after that is so sad to hear. Well, isn't that kind of you? Thank you, Cindy, that you should think of me at a time like this. Oh, well, aren't you adorable? Cindy's saying, thank you, everyone, for the mental support. Really feeling much better. I hope you feel better soon, too, DearMamaSal. Do you know, it was so funny because I think you guys know I help people prepare for interviews. And I had a would-be doctor as a client this week, and I was talking to him, and I had to cancel him twice because I just wasn't well enough. I didn't think I could give him the attention he deserved. So I had to move the appointment twice. And then I managed to do it yesterday. And after we finished the hour and a half or whatever it was, I wrote to him and I said, I do hope that I wasn't sounding too bad. And he wrote back and said, Sal, I don't know how to tell you how incredibly selfish I am, because not for 1 second did I think about the fact you were sick. I just thought, don't you just love that honesty? Okay, so Jeannie's saying, today I had lunch with a friend I see about once a month. Yes. And I know that in different parts of the world, you have different restrictions. So I noticed that my sister has people. Oh, and you also ate at a Chinese restaurant. How many people were in the restaurant? The funny thing is, the one that I go to on a Sunday normally, they have only two tables but they're big tables, but they only have two tables going each Sunday. They have a lot of takeout happening, but the actual sit down, they only have two big round tables. And that's why it always feels pretty safe there. All right, so Jodi's back. And what I'm going to try and do is to get my mind working again on doing a shorter video, and then we can continue to do the broadcast. But I want to actually prepare the front end of it as a lesson on something, and then we can do the chit chat afterwards. Because I really would like to be able to cut those bits out and have them stand alone, so that we can have the lessons out there for people to see. And then, if they want to come and join the chit chat as well, that's fine. But the important thing is that they get the lesson. So, no, don't worry about the interruption, Jodi. I really, value the fact that you always let me know when you're not going to be there, so I don't ask you to do things. Because, I do that, right? So, Betty White said, butterflies are like women. We may look pretty and delicate, but baby, we can fly through a hurricane. Yeah. And she said, don't try to be young. Just open your mind, stay interested in stuff. There are so many things I won't live long enough to find out, but I'm still curious about them. I have to say, and I don't know about you guys, but my curiosity, my love for gizmos, my curiosity, I refuse to quit until it's done, even if it takes a lifetime. Got my Here we go. Got my easel put together this week. And I want to tell you, that looked so simple when I got it out of the box, and it wasn't. And one of the reasons it wasn't is it's heavy. It's made of real wood. It's not made of chipboard or anything. And so all the bits were heavy. And when you were trying to hold them up and screw things in, and, it was very hard on my back. And I just kept saying, well, I'm just going to have to do it the clever way, which is slowly. And every day I took one more step. And then the other thing was, the instructions were written by somebody that really I didn't understand at all. And the illustration of the parts were not good as well. And so I literally at one time had to take something apart 3 times before I got it working. And I went, I'm running out of ways that it can work. I must be getting close. Yes, and Judy's saying that I'm glad you got it together after a while. It took a while, I must admit. And now you have the easel all set up. And the other thing is, it folds up, which I think is very clever. It's made in such a way that you just turn a couple of knobs and it will fold flat, and you can put it against a wall, which I think is very clever. So when I move, I don't have to disassemble it completely. I will just fold it up and have them transport it that way. And for those of you who weren't here at lunchtime, I need to let you know that I got a big shock this week. It's really been quite a week. A big shock this week that they found that I had always said that I felt there was something wrong with the fireplace in my home. that I could smell residual gas. And I was told by the previous owner that that wasn't true. And I going, yeah, well, I think it is. So when they were doing the working on my house, I said, when you get the HVAC guy in to do the cleaning of the vents and everything, can you have him have a look at that fireplace? I want to know whether I'm imagining things or not. And sure enough, they found out that there is a section of pipe where the fireplace is meant to vent out. There was a section of pipe missing. It was never there. And therefore, I was absolutely right. And, you know, what was incredible was the amount of anger and yet love I heard from the guy who's doing the renos. And he said, you know, within just, Sal, that could have killed you. And he was so angry. And I wrote back and I said, thank you so much for caring enough to check it out for me and believing me. You know, that you didn't think I was just making it up. I thank you so much for believing me and checking it out for me and finding what could have killed me. And so yet again, how many of you can see that in life, bad things happen, but out of bad things come good things? You know, and you know, it's like a miracle, isn't it? If the fire hadn't happened, they would not have been able to see that the way that they did, because they could see it from the top down as well. They could see where it was missing from, you know, because they had the roof off. And so you look at it and you go, I am blessed, aren't I? And so what I want you to really understand is sometimes life brings us really difficult times, as you have everywhere. Yeah, be it from the pandemic, be it from politics, be it from whatever. Life brings us difficult times. And, you know, our job is just to do what we can to stay centered. And Jody's Rinsky's saying, I'm so glad you got that inspected. Wow. Yeah, go with your gut, people. You know, if you think something's wrong, say something. Jody's saying, I needed time to process that information when you told me. I sent a prayer of thanks for your safety. Yeah, I did too, Jody. So to me, I just want you to understand that, you know, life isn't about the good. Life is about, can you stay centered along the good and the bad? It's not just about the good times. Can you stay centered in the bad times as well? And can you remain playful like Betty White? I was doing an unboxing at lunchtime, because during the lunchtime broadcast, a box arrived from Amazon, and it had one of those portable folding buckets, you know, into which you drop a ultrasonic whizzer. I'm going to call it a whizzer. And, you know, I've always wanted to have one in my kitchen. And it was amazing because between the two broadcasts, of course, I had to go and try it out. And I'm going, I'm so glad I got that. Jeannie's saying, great happening yesterday. I went online to try and buy a certain deep pot. It was already taken, but I talked to the seller. She wound up giving me several free items, a KitchenAid chopper, a vegetable slicer, etc., a rolling pin, and a beautiful bottle for olive oil. Well, isn't that wonderful? You know, Jody had a similar experience, Jeannie. You know, they're good people in the world, aren't they? Jody was busy, I remember, when she was trying with furniture. You know, people heard her story and were incredibly kind. So, you know, slowly but surely, you're going to put all those bits together. And, you know, it is, I think it's wonderful that you can take it one step at a time the way that you're doing. I'm definitely going to be in the market for a new mattress. I'm pretty sure of that. And that is one decision that I've always thought that I should get a sleep number type bed because of my back issues. And then being me, I started to think, well, what is a sleep number bed? It's an air mattress, really. you know. So, and what happens to me, because my bed is one of those adjustable ones, the feet come up and the head comes up, it's very hard on mattresses. And so, it's just like, I wonder if I just, take my air mattress that I have and put it under my, or put that down and then on top of that put some memory foam or something. And I'm going, got a feeling I'm going to try, a cheaper version of a sleep number bed. And because I found out you can buy some of those camping type air beds that automatically refill. Because one of the problems with those is that they lose their pressure. But I've seen that they make them now where they automatically refill. Yeah, Jeannie's saying that she's got a pod. And I know what a pod is, actually, Jeannie. I've seen them. It's like a little storage container that they have. And she's got one close to her house so that she can put stuff in it. I don't have anywhere to put one. Otherwise, I would probably do the same thing. I have to leave my driveway available so that the contractors can get in, because the community where I live won't let them park on the street. And so I can't put a pod. Otherwise, I would have done the same thing, Jenny. I would have got a pod in there and started filling it up with things that I want. But I'm delighted that you're going through that. I'm trying to decide whether I want to get the waterfall. I used to have a waterfall sink. Do any of you remember that? And I always loved waking up in the morning and using that in my old house. It's something I used every day and I loved it. And I'm thinking, I wonder if I'm just going to pay the money and get them to put one in, because I really did love it. Interesting. Jody's asking Jeannie here, does the warranty on the things that you put in the pod start on the date of delivery? They might be able to delay that until you move it into your house and begin using it. What a great question, Jody. Lovely. And Rinsky's saying, you know what I found after staying with friend's house? An air mattress sucks the heat right out of you. I was freezing the whole night. Ah, interesting. What is a waterfall sink? Okay, hold on. A picture is much better than my telling you. But I want to tell you that I always wanted one, and it's actually a waterfall faucet. But I will show you, and then you will know. Hold on. What did we do without Google? I had a glass bowl. Hang on a second. Okay, so this isn't the one that I had, but the faucet looks something like this. Can you see that? Disconnect that. Can you see that, Jeannie? Mine actually was different. It actually came across an oval of glass, and so it actually looked like a waterfall. I'm going to see if I can find a better one that's more like it. Hang on. Jody's probably hunting for one as well. And the basin itself stood on top of the counter. Yeah, and I will find that in a second. Okay, so Jeannie, this is what the faucet looked like. I've managed to find it. Hold on. The faucet looked like this. I wonder if you can see that, because, oh, no, you can't see anything there, so. There. Okay. Can you see that, Jeannie? So the water came from underneath the round bit here and then fell over that glass and like a waterfall into a glass basin that was the same as that. And I want to tell you, it was remarkably not as expensive as you would have thought. Okay. So this is, can you see the glass bowl there? So if you can imagine, you had that faucet, which was this round piece of glass, and the water cascaded off that into the glass bowl. And I always wanted that, and I never regretted having it. And, obviously some of you remember it. Some of you have been around a long time. The bowl was what you loved, right? And so to me, you've got to think about the things you use every day. And so it could cost me, an extra couple of $100. So that, but is it worth it to me? I think so. So there's that wonderful Kimmy saying she's almost got her refrigerator paid off. That's wonderful, Kimmy. Good job. I'm very proud of you because you haven't had it that long. I've got to change beverages here, people. All right, so does anybody have anything that they particularly want to talk about before I carry on? About your life this week or any input that you need? Cindy, I'm not sure if you're still with us, but if you are, while you're here, is there anything that we can, give you some help with, or anything you've always wanted to ask and never had an opportunity to, because this would be a really good time. I normally find that people have questions. If I bother to ask them, they normally have questions. And so you feel free, Cindy. That's what we're here for. And they can be questions about me or questions about something you'd like some input on. But this, I never know when I'm going to see you again. So especially with the time difference in Hong Kong. All right, so Jeannie's saying, and now I'm going to say good night. Thanks for the broadcast. We have something to do tomorrow morning. We'll have a wonderful evening, Jeannie. And thank you for being here. And look after yourself and all the best with all the steps you're taking. When do they think you'll be back in your house, Jeannie? Wait a minute. Kimmy is saying, I'd be happy if they made a bed that didn't kill you. To what are you referring? Oh, so you're also going to be back around about April into your house. Well, we'll both be celebrating at the same time. Isn't that wonderful? Well, you have a good evening and say good night to York for me and the viewers, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks for being here, Jeannie. Betty White said, does desire melt away with age? I'm waiting for that day to come. And she also said, this is when she was 91, 8 years ago. She said, now that I'm 91 as opposed to 90, I am much wiser and I'm much more aware and I'm much sexier. You see, she always talked about herself in that way, right? Whenever she talks about things, she doesn't talk about being old and, whatever. George Burns was the same. Some of you may remember the comedian George Burns, who also worked all the way up until he died. I think he was even booked to do a Royal Command performance for his 100th year. And I think he died just before it. But, he never, ever talked about quitting being a comedian. He loved it. And I think that's so beautiful that you do something that you love to that degree. Betty White said that during the Depression, my dad made radios to sell in order to make money. Nobody had any money to buy the radios, so he would trade them for dogs. He built kennels in the backyard, and he cared for the dogs. Ah, isn't that wonderful? And obviously, that's why she's always been a big supporter of animal rights. And I think that's beautiful. And she also said, my mother always used to say, the older you get, the better you get, unless you're a banana. So I don't know. I'm looking at what am I? I'm 73 now, going to be 74 by August. Yeah. I didn't expect to be enjoying this part of my life this way at this age. I can tell you that. To me, it was just like, really. And her philosophy, she said, my philosophy for staying young is act bubbly every day and drink bubbly every birthday. And how about this one? You are never too old for anything. And how many of you notice that, as you get older, you start limiting the things that you want to try or do or whatever? Oh no, I'm too old for that now. Well, you're not, unless you choose to be. And so there are a lot of things in your life you always wanted to do, and I think you still should. I really do. And here we are on page 22 of the first chapter of the year. And I go, what else do you want to do this year, Sal? And, there's part of me that I just want to go back to being sort of normal. I'd like to get back in my house, get unpacked yet again, and then just exhale. And certain Jeannie feels the same way. I just want to be home again, not in somebody else's place. And, I want that. How many of you are missing the kitchen? I don't know. I didn't realize that the kitchen really was the center part of the house in so many ways, even for the broadcast. And I made a good choice to get such a nice kitchen, for me. It really worked for the things I do. So I'm looking forward to having that back. I want to say that when you think of people who have stayed working, it is important to understand that some people knew that if they retired, they would actually atrophy their minds and whatever. And they chose never to retire. And I think that's very clever. Betty White says, hot dogs, red vines, and potato chips, and French fries are my favorite foods. How does she get away with it? This one I really love. Sharon, you're going to like this one. Betty White said, I've always liked older men. They're just more attractive to me. But of course, at my age, there aren't that many left. Oh, Kimmy's saying, I got outside before it snows and now it's snowing. Well done. Yeah. And so, you look at it and you go, it's really important to check your attitude. She said, my only claim to fame is that I'm the only woman in the world who hasn't slept with Tiger Woods. Really? I didn't know that. She's got a feisty part to her, hasn't she? Oh, interesting. Sharon saying, that's true. My husband is, this is about the other quote. She's saying, my husband is 15 years older. Yes. You've always liked older men as well. Okay. This is Betty White being political. How about that? I don't know when she said this. I can't see the date when she said it, but she said, my thoughts and prayers are with the senators that voted down gun control. My thoughts, do your job. My prayer, that you're voted out of office. That's cute. And, you know, I don't think I've ever heard her be political before. That's interesting. So I look at it and go, we have a lot to learn about attitude from Betty. And we have a lot to learn about how to survive in the next little while. Okay. So Kimmy's saying, apropos of the comment about beds that don't kill you, she's saying they start sagging after a while and then everything hurts because it causes circulation problems. I hear you, Kimmy, and that's why I'm saying that I am really seriously considering getting one of those air mattresses that fills itself up so that as it starts to sag, if you like, that it automatically refills itself. Now, you can do that with a sleep number type bed, but I'm not sure if I've got that sort of money. So what I'm going to try first is to get one of those air mattresses that has an automatic refiller attached to it. And I've been doing some research, and they do make them that automatically will turn on, and as the mattress starts to sag, it will automatically turn on and put more air in. And if you'd like me to send you a link on that one, let me know. But it's just like I have the same problem, and a lot of the problems that I had came about because of my mattress. And I knew that because when I started sleeping on hotel quality mattresses, a lot of my pain went away. So I hear you big time, Kimmy. Totally get it. And thank you for talking about that, because and mattresses don't last long, when you think about it, and they're very expensive for what they are, in my view. And, it's just like, I don't think my last mattress lasted more than 5 or 6 years. So I think it got destroyed in the fire. I think it got waterlogged, and if it did, yay, it means I'm going to have a new one. But they obviously are not going to pay for me to. They're going to discount the value of the mattress that I had by X%. It's going to be a nightmare in a lot of ways, but I'm going to be very grateful for what I do get and go from there. Well, at lunchtime today, we were looking at some quotes about, hang on a second, let me just get this here. Moving forward with our lives. And the whole point about restarting every year is that we actually need to restart every year, every day. In other words, when you wake up tomorrow, take it as that it's January the 1st again. Even though it will be January the 23rd, think, okay, this is the beginning of my next year, from January the 23rd onwards. And if you can live your life that way and keep saying, I get to start again, let me see how I can do today. And so, it was said that every day is a chance to begin again. Don't focus on the failures of yesterday. Start today with positive thoughts and expectations. And the Buddha said, no matter how hard the past is, you can always begin again. And so I encourage you all to think about that. Billie Jean King, the tennis player, said, champions keep playing until they get it right. Right? They don't quit. They keep playing until they get it right. A bit like trying to build the easel. Now, the interesting thing is, now that I've got it built, will I start using it? That requires that I give it time. And how many of you know I'm going to be scared to get paint on it because it's so beautiful, but it needs paint on it. No doubt about it. And not paint that I immediately clean off. It needs paint on it that stays there. Prince, the musician, the late Prince, he said, every day I feel is a blessing from God. I consider the new beginning. And yes, everything is beautiful. J.P. Morgan said the first step towards getting somewhere is to decide you're not going to stay where you are. All right, move on, people. Things are changing all the time. And, I am pretty certain that even as, America sees a changing government, it's not going to be fun at all. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be fun. It's not going to be without problems. It is, there are going to be loads of criticism, loads of haters, loads of everything. We're not going to get away from a lot of what we have witnessed in the past, but let's enjoy a breather in the meantime. And I don't think this is about right and wrong. This is about let's try and do the right things as far as we can. Let us make each day our birthday. Every morning in life is new, with the splendors of the sunrise and the baptism of the dew. Isn't that pretty? So as you go through this week, as you go into this weekend, does anybody have any plans for anything that they're going to do? Again, I would encourage you all, even with the pandemic, to keep having plans. Make sure that you keep a list of things that you want to get done. I want to make sure that when we eventually come out of this time, that you will be able to say, one of the greatest gifts that it gave me was the time to repaint this room, or the time to repaint this furniture, or the time to learn how to cook this, or the time to experiment on whatever. I want to make sure that we all know that this was valuable time. I know it sounds strange, but for me, I will paint at least one more skyscape, Salscape, I'm going to call it, Sal Cityscape, because I always wanted to learn how to do that. And now I can say, yes, I remember that time I was away from my house because of the fire with the quilts that Pat sent me. The time that I learned how to paint this, and I got my easel. I'm looking at all the memories that I will take of being here with me back for the rest of my life, because those are very important parts of my life and my memories. And I'm trying to already think about, when I move, what is in this place that I haven't got in mind that I will miss? And one of them is, this place has a water jug, a glass water jug. And every morning I fill it up and throw in a couple of ends of lime, or a couple of ends of an orange, or whatever it is I want to throw in there for the day. And I am going to definitely take that back with me. I'm going to buy a really nice carafe, with a lid to it, that I can keep at home because you automatically drink more water because it's there all the time. And I wonder if any of you do that, whether you keep, I think they call it spa water, right? And some people put lemon and cucumbers in it. But it really does encourage you to drink more water. And I have definitely found that helps. Jody, I just thought I'd let you know that I'm passing on some of your great advice about diabetes. It turns out that my sister is very close to being diabetic, closer than I am apparently. And I realize how much you've taught me, and I thank you. And also, I don't know if you noticed that I have started to get control back. It's nearly, I'm starting to not be over the limit every day. I'm starting to get days where I'm back under control, and that's great. I just know I need to keep doing it until I've got totally back under control, and then I can start getting my averages back down. But boy, I cannot believe how long it's taken me to get control back after Christmas. Am I the only one, by the way? Have some of you found it difficult to get your eating under control again after Christmas in terms of the wrong foods? Or is it just me? It's just like, really, what happened? I was so under control. And yet, the strange thing is that I've done more exercise in the last couple of months than I've done in a lifetime, and happily so. And it was really nice to hear, that other people are trying it and enjoying it as well, to their surprise. Sharon, it's not just me. Thank you so much, honey. Love you for that. Because really, I thought, I just cannot believe how difficult it has been to get control back. And I really was craving sugar. And I'm finding ways now to control that urge, because this was getting, it's insane. And the worst thing is I've still got a lot of chocolate in the house. I mean, a lot. But what I did find, and that surprises me, making chocolates actually is not as damaging as some of the other things. And so I might just go back to making some chocolates and allowing myself to have them. Not a dozen of them, but a couple every day. Yeah, Jody's saying about my sister, I'm sorry to hear that, Sal. I hope she finds the advice helpful. And if she has questions, I'm happy to help her any way I can. Yeah, it's like a lot of people, Jody, if you try and help, a lot of them keep telling you why they can't do that. You know what I mean? So it's been a bit challenging, but I've just given her the value of the experience of things you have taught me. Jody's saying we encourage each other. Thank you for helping me get back on track and accountable too. Well, I just, want you all to know, if any of you are struggling, I think we are not alone. It's the point that I'm trying to make. I am pretty certain that doctors are going to find a lot of obesity problems. A lot of people are going to get more diabetic and things like that, because we're just not living normal lives anymore. We're leading very sedentary lives, and that's going to affect our health. It definitely is going to affect our mental health if we don't look after it. And that is why I will continue to do the broadcast, because I think it's really important that we are there to talk about these things and make sure that people know they're not on their own. When I was sick, I noticed that my I needed a pity party. Do any of you relate to that? I just felt really, I didn't feel I was coping well and then I thought, this is about being sick, and that my defenses are not strong because I'm sick. And I actually was quite surprised that I had that moment. And luckily it was only for sort of half a day, but I was in tears and feeling sorry for myself and all sorts of things. And I went, okay, we'll snap out of that. That's not going to get you very far. But I listened. That's the important part. I listened to what the pity party was about. Yes, Jody is saying the same thing, that she thinks as well that the pandemic will bear witness to many new diabetes diagnoses, yes, and many more mental health issues, I believe. But I also believe that, people like ourselves who go, yeah, but what can I do about it, are going to find new ways, and we might come out of this stronger. One of the things I said when I was having a pity party was, I can't believe I got sick. I do so much to try and keep my immune system going and my body going. And now I got sick. I was angry at that. Can any of you relate to that? It was like, really? After all this, and now I get sick? I thought I was doing so well. and apparently not. And then, obviously, like anybody else, when I got sick, the first question you ask yourself is this the big one? Or am I just, have I just got a cold or a flu? And so, it's scary, isn't it? That you can't even get a cold or a flu now without being fearful of your life. So I understand that. I live it the same as you do. Yes, and Jody is saying excuses or options, the choice is up to each of us, and support is available. Yeah, and so to me, it's about also allow yourself to fall off the wagon, if you like. If you do have a bad day, that's okay, and it's quite normal, and it's probably quite good for you, all right, to have a little cry or, feel sorry for yourself or whatever, but don't let it last. Don't let it last. If you let it last, it'll end up that you achieve nothing, and then you'll feel worse, and then I found, I literally, and the thing that got me upset was I was sweating, and I don't normally sweat. That's probably too much information, but I'm not somebody that sweats, and I was sweaty. And, and it was just like, how many times am I going to have to shower every day? Just, because I had to shower because I was so sweaty. And it was just like, ugh, this is really frustrating me. And then I gave thanks for the fact that I had a shower. Then I gave thanks for the fact that I could actually get in and out of the shower. How many of you remember one of the problems I had when I came here was I going to be able to move my left hip enough to be able to get in and out of a bathtub to shower? Well, here we are 4 months later. Guess how much left hip to get in and out of the shower? You were going to ask what the painting is of in terms of which city? Is that what you're asking, Kimmy? It's Sal City. I made it up. But to me, it was a rainy day in the city. That's what I called it, because that's what was happening outside my window. It was a rainy day in the city. And that's when I painted this. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to have it framed and take it home with me as a memory of my time here. And I'm hoping that before I leave here, I will do a bigger one as well, now that I've sort of got the idea of how it's done. Layer upon layer upon layer upon layer. It's amazing. You start with that, and you start with the background, and then you slowly, get another layer on, and just a little bit darker, and another layer on, and then a little bit darker, and another layer on. It's probably got about, I would think, about 10 layers on it. And when quite honestly, when I finished it, I went, wow, look at that, it worked. You can actually see a rainy day in the city. And to me, it's just like, that's what I love about doing art, is you never really know whether it's going to work or not. And when it does, it's such a great feeling. So that's going to be my new thing. And, you know, it's funny, anything where I can, you know, slop a lot of paint on, yeah, I'm happy. You know, Jody was saying something about, you know, watercolors or whatever. I said, Jody, I would never do watercolors. I leave that for people who are delicate people. You know, I am not a delicate artist at all. This big one behind me that's here, that I could do, right? That I would have great fun doing that. You know, it's sort of like, yeah, let me slop some paint on there and spread it around, and you know, that gives me great fun. And you know, I'm looking at it all and going, I definitely want to do a couple more paintings before I go, and just enjoy them. And I will do a couple more on cardboard, just because I've got so much of it that you know, I'm trying to find ways to recycle cardboard now. You know how much cardboard must be going into the landfills at the moment? Amazing. So here we go, another week, another Friday. And if you think about it, where are we? Hang on one second. We're going to be at the end of the month already, next Friday. Isn't that scary? And so January, we've just got a week left. So as you close the chapter on January, let's make sure that we've got stuff that we go, okay, I know what I did. And I know what I was grateful for. And I know what I tried. And I know what I improved. And I know what I'm going to do for February. Keep a list. Again, I would encourage you all to keep a running list of what brings you joy, right? Anything that happens in the day that you think, oh, I enjoyed that, write it down and report it back when we do the broadcast. And try and keep track of the good, the bad, and the ugly, because it makes you so aware of how much you cope with in a day that you just don't even give a moment's notice to. I also had to give myself permission today. You don't have to walk for half an hour. You can just play games for half an hour on the Wii, because that is exercise. And then found out that I did probably more, you know, I pushed myself harder. It was that table tennis, people. You have no idea. It's really fast, right? And you have to really move. And you don't realize just how many muscles you're using. But the good news is you can do it. And Jody, again, one of the things that you will find is you don't even have to be standing. You can do this sitting down, and you still will push your heart rate up. And that, to me, is the exciting part that I want everybody to know. You know, yeah, you don't want to go out and exercise. Well, hello, there are ways of exercising that you never thought of. So as I go, have a wonderful Saturday. I'm going to. Jody, you have my permission to sleep in. Jody and I, for some reason, really struggle on Saturdays. I don't know why it is, but we do. So Jody, you have my full permission to sleep in tomorrow, and I will I will do the same. And so have a wonderful Saturday, and I will see you again on Sunday afternoon at 3:30. This is DearMamaSal saying, love you dearly. Let's keep coping with life as it comes to us. Bye-bye for now.